world addicted to noise, the one who masters silence becomes untouchable. Most people talk to prove they exist. They ramble to feel important. They argue to seem intelligent. But the truth, the loudest one in the room is almost always the weakest. Think about it. How often have you seen someone lose control just because they couldn't sit with the silence? Now imagine the opposite. A person who enters a room, says nothing, and everyone still feels their presence. They don't seek validation. They don't react emotionally. They don't fill the air with words, and yet they dominate. That is the power of strategic silence. That is the weapon of the Stoic. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but he said little. Epictetus was born a slave, but his silence made kings question themselves. Seneca stood in the face of death and spoke only when it mattered. Their silence wasn't emptiness. It was precision. It was power. Today, I'll show you how to master this lost art using ancient Stoic wisdom, backed by dark psychology principles that make silence more than just golden. It makes it dangerous. By the end of this video, you won't just understand silence. You'll use it like a blade. Calm, sharp, deadly. Welcome to Stoic Mastery, where we unlock the discipline, strategy, and inner dominance that separates the wise from the weak. If you're ready to stop chasing attention and start commanding respect, subscribe now, because this is the beginning of your transformation. Number 1, the Stoic weapon of silence. In a world constantly filled with noise and distractions, silence has become a rare commodity. But for the Stoics, it was one of their most powerful tools. Silence was not just the absence of sound, but a deliberate choice to preserve inner control, enhance strategic thinking, and master one's emotions. Silence as self-mastery. The Stoics, led by figures like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, believed that true strength comes from within. It's not the external world that disturbs us, but our reaction to it. And one of the key ways to remain undisturbed is through silence. For the Stoics, self-mastery began with mastering what we say. When we speak impulsively, we reveal our inner chaos. But when we embrace silence, we create space to observe, reflect, and control our impulses before responding. True power is shown in restraint. Epictetus taught us that we should never react immediately. Instead of rushing to speak when faced with conflict or stress, we should first pause, reflect, and then decide if it's worth responding. Silence allows us to detach from emotions and engage with the situation from a place of reason. Strategic silence in action. Silence isn't just for internal peace. It's also a tool for external control. Think about it. In a conversation, when someone talks too much, they reveal their hand, their weaknesses, their fears, their insecurities. But when you remain silent, you maintain an air of mystery and control. In fact, silence often speaks louder than words. Imagine being in a heated discussion, and instead of immediately engaging, you remain calm and silent. You let others reveal their thoughts, and in the process, you gain insight into their mindset. Over time, people will come to respect your judgment, because they'll recognize that when you do speak, it is always with intention and precision. Marcus Aurelius himself understood this. As the Emperor of Rome, he chose to speak only when necessary. His journals, filled with meditations on inner peace and virtue, emphasize that we must not rush to give opinions or engage in debates that do not serve a higher purpose. Silence, he understood, was a form of control over the world around him. Silence as power. What makes silence so powerful is that it places the control in your hands. In a noisy world, the silent person becomes a source of calm and authority. The less you speak, the more you create an aura of unpredictability, making others unsure of your thoughts or intentions. This sense of mystery and composure gives you the upper hand. As Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, noted, Speech is the mirror of the soul. As a man speaks, so is he. The person who speaks constantly reveals their vulnerabilities, but the person who masters silence remains impenetrable, creating an image of strength and resilience. In every aspect of life, silence enables you to focus on what truly matters, respond only when necessary, and avoid falling into the traps of unnecessary conflict. By choosing silence, you are actively choosing control, not just over your words, but over your thoughts and emotions. Number 2, dark psychology of quiet influence. Silence is often viewed as the absence of sound, but in the world of dark psychology, it's much more. It's a powerful tool for influence, manipulation, and control. While most people rush to speak, those who master silence hold a significant psychological advantage. Silence can be used to shape perceptions, manipulate emotions, and dominate interactions without saying a word. Creating uncertainty. One of the most powerful aspects of silence is its ability to create psychological tension. Human beings are deeply uncomfortable with uncertainty, and silence injects it into a situation. When someone chooses to remain quiet in a conversation, others will inevitably begin to fill the silence with assumptions, judgments, or even their own fears. This is when the real power of silence becomes clear. By not reacting, you force others to reveal their vulnerabilities. The more they speak, the more they expose themselves. Your silence becomes the mirror in which their thoughts, insecurities, and desires are reflected. This psychological uncertainty works in your favor. Instead of responding to every comment or provocation, you remain composed, calm, and aloof. As others scramble to understand your silence, they give you all the power to direct the conversation or situation in whichever way you choose. Silence becomes a tool for gaining psychological control over those around you. Self-control and Stoic resilience. The Stoics understood that true power comes from within. Silence is an expression of self-control. When you master the art of silence, you choose not to react impulsively, especially in moments of conflict. Instead of immediately responding to a provocation or challenge, you pause, reflect, and choose your words, if any, carefully. Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius were masters of this principle. They taught that in moments of stress or tension, silence allows you to remain in control. In today's world, where everyone is eager to be heard, those who remain silent stand out. They don't need to prove themselves through endless words or reactions. Their silence becomes their shield, allowing them to preserve their mental state and project an aura of unshakable calm. Silence as psychological manipulation. In dark psychology, silence can be used strategically to manipulate others. The more you remain silent, the more people around you will attempt to fill the gaps with their own interpretations, speculations, or attempts to draw you out. The longer you remain silent, the more they will feel compelled to talk, often revealing more than they intended. By withholding your thoughts and feelings, you create an atmosphere of uncertainty. Others will begin to question what you're thinking, what you know, and what you might do next. This leaves them vulnerable, as they're forced to guess, second-guess, and interpret your silence. As they do so, they might make mistakes, reveal their own weaknesses, or open themselves up in ways they hadn't intended. This is the manipulative power of silence. It makes others act, speak, and behave in ways that serve your purpose, without you having to exert much effort. You control the flow of information because you've become the one who holds back. Ethics of silence. Though silence is a powerful tool, it's important to use it responsibly. The Stoics never intended for silence to be a means of cruelty or control. True mastery lies in using silence to gain clarity, not to harm or manipulate. When used with integrity, silence preserves your peace and helps you influence situations from a position of strength not malice. Number 3, timeless Stoic strategies to master silence. Silence isn't just about abstaining from speech. For the Stoics, it was an active practice of discipline, wisdom, and control. The Stoics believed that by mastering our speech, we could master our lives. Their teachings provide a blueprint for how to use silence strategically to gain clarity, wisdom, and influence. Here are 3 Stoic strategies to help you harness the power of silence. 1. The pause before speaking. The first and most fundamental Stoic strategy is the pause before speaking. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to react impulsively, especially when provoked. The Stoics knew that true strength comes from the ability to pause, reflect, and then respond with intention, not emotion. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of taking a moment before reacting to external events. In his meditations, he advised, "When you have trouble getting out of bed, remind yourself of what a privilege it is to serve others." Before speaking, take a few seconds to evaluate your emotions, the situation, and the consequences of your words. This pause gives you the opportunity to choose your response wisely, ensuring that your words serve your higher purpose, rather than reacting out of anger or fear. 2. The power of selective silence. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the idea of selective speech. Not every situation requires your input. Stoics believed that speaking unnecessarily or impulsively only weakens your position and dilutes your influence. Selective silence involves choosing to stay silent in situations where words would only be distractions or would compromise your self-control. Seneca, in his letters, emphasizes that we should reserve our speech for moments of importance. By remaining silent when others speak, you allow them to reveal their true nature. You also demonstrate restraint and self-control, which enhances your reputation. The less you speak, the more people listen when you do choose to share your thoughts. This strategy is especially important in high-stakes environments, such as business negotiations or personal disputes. By strategically holding your tongue, you make others feel the weight of your silence, which often has a greater impact than any words could. 3. The power of retrospective reflection. Silence isn't just about choosing when to speak. It's also about taking time to reflect on what you've already said. After a conversation, the Stoics recommended taking a moment to reflect on the words you used, the way you acted, and whether your response was aligned with your values. Retrospective reflection helps you understand where your words were effective and where they might have been unnecessary or even harmful. Epictetus famously said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we speak." Reflection allows you to hone your ability to be a better listener and speaker, ensuring that when you do speak, it is meaningful and deliberate. The Stoic aim is not to avoid conversation, but to engage in it with purpose and precision. Conclusion. The Stoic approach to silence is not about repression or isolation. It's about cultivating the discipline to choose when and how to speak in a way that serves your highest ideals. Whether it's the pause before speaking, selective silence, or retrospective reflection, each Stoic strategy helps you gain greater control over your actions and reactions. By practicing these strategies, you'll not only master the art of silence, but also enhance your self-awareness and your ability to influence others with minimal effort. Number 4, when to speak. The power of rare words. In a world dominated by constant noise and endless chatter, the power of silence is enhanced by the rarity of well-timed words. The Stoics understood that speaking less makes what you say far more impactful. This is a fundamental aspect of Stoic wisdom. When you speak less, your words carry more weight, and when you do speak, people listen. 1. The power of silence in conversation. One of the most powerful aspects of silence is its ability to amplify your words when you do choose to speak. In Stoic philosophy, silence isn't about isolation. It's about making your words count. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the need for restraint, advising that a wise person speaks only when absolutely necessary. He believed that too much speech dilutes the meaning of words, and that the more often we speak, the less authority our words carry. When you speak infrequently, you create an air of mystery and authority. People begin to take notice, knowing that when you do offer your opinion or insight, it's something worth listening to. This is why the Stoics valued economy of words, a selective approach to speaking that maximizes the impact of each word. 2. Silence as a tool for influence. The Stoic use of silence also plays a critical role in how others perceive you. When you choose silence in a conversation, you give yourself the space to observe, listen, and reflect. You're not just reacting to what others are saying. You're actively considering the deeper meanings, motivations, and emotions behind the words being spoken. This gives you the power to respond with precision rather than react emotionally or impulsively. In the same way that rare speech commands attention, silence forces others to fill the void. They may overcompensate, trying to engage you or make assumptions about your thoughts. This dynamic positions you in a place of control because you are the one deciding when to engage, and you're doing so from a position of clarity and understanding. 3. Speaking less, but with purpose. The Stoic ideal is not to become mute, but to speak with intention. Rare words delivered at the right moment carry a weight that routine conversation cannot match. By speaking less frequently, you allow each of your words to have a greater impact. In business, for instance, this means you don't feel compelled to speak during every meeting or make a comment on every topic. Instead, you save your voice for the moments when it will make the most difference. Seneca, in his writings, warns against overextending oneself in conversations and cautions against speaking without purpose. He advises, "Speech is like a mirror of the soul. It reflects what lies within." In other words, the more you speak, the more you expose about yourself. And often, this means revealing your insecurities or lack of control. The Stoics preferred to speak in ways that fortified their dignity, their peace, and their clarity. 4. Building authority through silence. The ability to speak less also builds your authority. People begin to associate your silence with wisdom. In high-stakes environments, such as leadership roles or negotiations, silence allows you to hold the floor without ever needing to dominate the conversation. You become the person others turn to for clarity, knowing that when you finally offer your input, it will be profound and well considered. Conclusion. The Stoics didn't believe in the value of constant speech. Instead, they embraced silence as a tool to enhance their words and to control their emotional reactions. By speaking less, you make your words matter more. Whether in conversations, negotiations, or moments of conflict, the power of rare speech is undeniable. The next time you're in a conversation, remember, choose your words wisely, speak with purpose, and let silence do the work. Number 5, how to train your mind for strategic silence. Mastering silence is not about suppressing your voice. It's about developing the discipline to choose when and how to speak with purpose. Silence is an art that requires consistent practice and mental training. Here are some practical ways to train your mind for strategic silence. 1. Practice daily stillness. One of the first steps to mastering silence is to build a habit of stillness into your daily routine. This doesn't mean complete isolation, but taking time to be alone with your thoughts, without distractions. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes each day to sit quietly, observe your thoughts, and resist the urge to react to them. The goal is not to empty your mind, but to let your thoughts come and go without judgment or impulsive reactions. As you practice stillness, you'll train yourself to become more comfortable with silence in everyday interactions. The more you sit in silence, the easier it will become to pause and reflect before speaking in conversation. 2. Engage in mindful listening. Another powerful practice is mindful listening. When in conversation, focus entirely on the speaker without formulating your response while they talk. Allow yourself to absorb what is being said and listen deeply. This will help you resist the urge to interrupt or fill gaps with your own thoughts. The Stoics believed in the power of listening over speaking because it allows you to gain wisdom without overexposing yourself. Mindful listening is a practice in silence and self-control. By listening more and speaking less, you can increase the weight of your words when you do speak. This practice also allows you to choose silence as a powerful response in situations where words are unnecessary. 3. Train yourself to pause. The ability to pause before speaking is one of the most important habits for mastering silence. In moments of emotional or intellectual tension, many people react impulsively. The Stoic response is simple: pause. By taking just a few seconds before speaking, you give yourself space to evaluate the situation and decide if speaking is necessary or if silence would be more powerful. Training yourself to pause helps you avoid knee-jerk reactions and keeps you in control of your emotions. Silence, in this context, becomes a tool for emotional regulation and strategic thinking. The more you practice this pause, the more naturally it will become your first response. 4. Use reflection to improve your silence. After each conversation, take a moment to reflect on how you used silence. Did you speak when it was necessary? Could you have said less? The Stoics often practice retrospection to analyze their actions and refine their behavior. This is an important part of mastering silence. By reflecting on your words and the moments you chose silence, you can identify areas where you could be more disciplined in your speech. Self-reflection allows you to evaluate the effectiveness of your silence and fine-tune your approach. Over time, this reflection will help you develop a natural ability to use silence in the most effective ways possible. 5. Embrace solitude. Lastly, solitude is an essential practice for mastering silence. Spending time alone without distractions helps you cultivate a deeper connection with yourself and your thoughts. Whether it's a walk in nature or a quiet evening, solitude allows you to be fully present in your own mind. During these moments, you don't have to fill the space with words or noise. Solitude strengthens your ability to reconnect with your inner peace and fosters a deeper understanding of your thoughts and emotions. Over time, this will make silence feel more natural and empowering in social interactions. Mastering silence takes time, but by incorporating daily stillness, mindful listening, pausing, reflection, and solitude, you'll cultivate the mental discipline needed to wield silence as a powerful tool for clarity, influence. 6. Silence as the path to inner strength. The art of silence is not merely about withholding words, but about harnessing your inner strength and gaining control over your environment. Silence offers more than just peace. It provides clarity, focus, and power. It becomes a pathway to greater resilience, allowing you to navigate life's challenges with steadiness and confidence. 1. Silence cultivates inner peace. One of the greatest gifts silence provides is the ability to cultivate inner peace. In our fast-paced world, we're constantly bombarded with external noise, from social media to the opinions of others. These distractions often lead us to feel overwhelmed, reactive, and out of control. Silence, however, offers a sanctuary. By embracing silence, you allow yourself to disconnect from external stimuli and turn inward. The Stoics believed that true happiness and peace come not from the world around us, but from mastering our internal reactions. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, regularly reminded himself that the peace we seek is within, and that silence helps us reconnect with this inner tranquility. This internal peace fosters a steady mind, enabling you to approach life with clarity and composure rather than emotional turbulence. 2. Silence enhances self-control. Silence is directly linked to self-control, one of the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy. In any situation, when you choose silence over speaking out of impulse or emotion, you assert control over your reactions. This ability to stay silent in moments of stress, conflict, or provocation is a form of mental strength. The Stoics believed that we cannot control external events, but we can control our responses to them. Silence gives us the space to choose how we react, whether we respond with measured words or choose not to engage at all. By practicing silence, we learn to master our impulses, developing greater emotional resilience and self-restraint. Over time, this mental discipline becomes second nature. When you are faced with a challenging situation, your first instinct will be to pause and reflect, not to react immediately. This is how silence builds inner strength, as it transforms your initial emotional responses into a calm, deliberate choice. 3. Silence strengthens your authority. Silence is not a sign of weakness, but of strength and authority. People are drawn to those who can maintain calm in the face of chaos, and silence plays a huge role in projecting this calm. Leaders, thinkers, and those who wield real influence are often silent when others are loud. They listen more than they speak, choosing their words with great care and precision. By speaking less, you ensure that when you do speak, your words hold more weight. Rare words make people stop and pay attention, which in turn strengthens your position and authority. The more you choose silence, the more people begin to respect and trust your judgment. They know that when you speak, your words will be well considered and valuable. 4. Silence improves decision-making. In the rush of daily life, it's easy to make decisions based on impulse or external pressures. Silence provides the space to slow down, reflect, and make decisions from a place of clarity rather than haste. The Stoics taught that wisdom comes from thoughtful reflection and careful consideration. When you practice silence, you give yourself the time to think through your options and consider the long-term consequences of your choices. This approach helps you make more informed decisions, reducing the chance of regret and increasing your ability to navigate complex situations with confidence. Conclusion: the power of silence. Mastering the art of silence is not about withdrawing from the world, but about gaining control over it. It is a powerful tool for clarity, influence, and personal strength. By embracing silence, you create space to think, reflect, and respond with purpose rather than reacting impulsively. The Stoics understood that silence was a form of self-mastery. It allowed them to stay composed amidst chaos, make clear decisions, and project calm authority. Silence is not the absence of words, but the presence of power. It commands respect, fosters deeper connections, and strengthens your influence in any situation. By practicing strategic silence, through stillness, mindful listening, and thoughtful pauses, you can sharpen your decision-making, enhance your emotional resilience, and build a stronger, more grounded presence. In a noisy world, the ability to remain silent and choose when to speak gives you the ultimate edge. Embrace silence, practice it daily, and let it transform your life. Remember, less is more. Your words, when carefully chosen, will carry more weight and impact than ever before.